Blackout on blackouts. BEC says good news coming for the summer months.
College concerns. The union representing workers at COB with a contract complication. ZNS News on the scene.
A young man was gunned down and killed in front of a business establishment off Soldier Road this morning. That story coming up in the Bahamas tonight.
Now in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Every Day.
In spite of last week's island-wide power outage, there's some good news on the way for consumers at the Bahamas Electricity Corporation. Good evening, everyone. I'm Charisma Robinson.
And I'm Chris Saunders. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, the good news comes from BEC Executive Chairman, who says customers should see a reduction on their electricity bills in a matter of months. He confirmed to our CS Bradley that by summer, BC will be equipped to provide power for the entire island.
Looking to fulfill on a promise of no blackouts and reduced electricity costs, the Bahamas Electricity Corporation has awarded a contract for the rental of generators in early May. BEC's Executive Chairman Leslie Miller says it's a move that will cost the government just under $8 million and will cover a 6-month period. And despite the cost, Miller says he is confident that consumers will be able to see savings on their bills as early as July.
The amount of fuel that those generators use, it is much less than what we use at Blue Hill. So we will end up with a net savings of about $4.5 million. And we intend to ask the government to let us recoup our costs for the generators. I'm out of that, okay? So that we don't have to pay anything. The people are still going to get a reduction in their bill. So even with the cost that we'll be paying, we'll still be saving more money instead of using Blue Hills, and that's what we intend to do.
Miller, who was speaking at Rotary Club of East Nassau's weekly meeting, admitted this scenario will only present a temporary fix to the problem, but they're looking to properly service the engines, beginning with 2 of them at the Clifton Power Plant, which both carry 30 megawatts of power. With the $3.5 billion mega Bahama resort set to open its doors next week, many have wondered if BEC would have the capacity to do so and avoid any power outages in the summer. According to Miller, BEC is powering Bahama and has been doing so for the last 3 months and expects the resort's monthly contribution to range from $2.5 to $3 million.
Bahama is going to take up 16 megawatts of power at full speed. Right now, they're taking about 6 to 8 megawatts. We'll be ready for Bahama during the summer because Clifton is now in pretty decent shape, and Blue Hills is now back up to scratch, so we shouldn't have a problem with Bahama.
Still, Miller, who has been a strong proponent of liquefied natural gas or LNG, says it's important for the Bahamas to consider alternative energy sources in the future.
LNG is the most reliable fuel and the most abundant fuel. I believe in the future that we should switch to LNG. In fact, the new engines that we are proposing would all have LNG components, enable us to receive and use LNG.
In the meantime, Miller says the plan is for BEC to obtain a long-term contract for fuel, some new engines for the Clifton Power Plant, which he believes will result in BEC consumers seeing anywhere from a 25 to 35% reduction on their electricity bills. Siaska Adderley, ZNS Network News.
The Grand Bahama Human Rights Association levied criticism against the Bahamas before the Inter-American Human Rights Commission today. Minister of State for Legal Affairs, the Honorable Damian Gomez, represented the government at the hearing and stressed that the Bahamas is in full compliance with the international human rights treaties that the country is a signatory to, including those of the IACHR. In fact, the Bahamas has once again invited the IACHR to the Bahamas to observe the way that migrants are treated. This is the 3rd time the IACHR has been invited to observe migrant issues here in the Bahamas beginning from last year.
Unions representing staff at the College of the Bahamas are up in arms over their exclusion from meetings discussing matters important to union members as the college moves towards university status. Cleopatra Murphy spoke to Bahamas Public Services Union President John Pinder and other officials.
Public Services Union President John Pinder says security guards at the College of the Bahamas prevented him from entering a meeting between his members and College of the Bahamas President Dr. Rodney Smith on Friday. That meeting, he says, was to discuss the proposed University of the Bahamas bill. Pinder, who met with staff after, says the talks without union representation violates the Industrial Agreement, Employment Act, and Industrial Relations Act and should not have happened, as the bill discussed raises issues that will impact faculty and staff.
Consultation can be you talk to your staff and tell them what you can do, and there's no input. The unions are the bargaining agent for the staffers here, and he ought to speak with the unions before he tries to get information from the staff. It's our job to go to our members and get information and come back to him. We need to go through this proposed University of the Bahamas bill properly. We see some things in there that does not protect our members and none of our members' best interests. We just want to ensure that their tenure is protected, their benefits are protected.
Pinder says these meetings have happened before and members wanted the union present. Unions representing the college's staff have written 3 letters to Smith and college officials requesting they be engaged, to no avail.
He has the right to be for the staffers, but he should not be discussing fundamental changes with them, without the union being present. If he's going to speak about fundamental changes, he should come through the bargaining agent.
Jennifer Isaacs-Dotson, Vice President External of the Union of Tertiary Educators of the Bahamas, calls it a sad day for the college. She says the COB president must be able to work with the unions that include the Public Managers Union. Isaacs-Dotson is also first vice president of the Caribbean Congress of Labor and says she will take the issue to that body, which represents unions throughout the Caribbean.
The unions represent the members, they represent the faculty, the staff, and the middle managers in the College of the Bahamas. And we are entitled to attend any meeting that is being called for any of those 3 areas. And we are entitled to give our input after we have had time to review the draft act. Time. You cannot give someone an act and then expect them to respond in the very same meeting.
ZNS News attempted to speak with Dr. Smith about the matter, but was told by staff at his office that he was not in. Isaacs-Dotson and Pinder say they will continue to fight for inclusion on these important discussions. Cleopatra Murphy, ZNS Network News.
In just 24 hours, another young man was gunned down and killed on the streets of the capital, but this time in broad daylight. Police say the 27-year-old unidentified victim was waiting on a bus or for someone to pick him up when he was approached by a man and shot several times about his body on Friday. LaDawn Davis rushed to the scene just moments after he died of those gunshot wounds. She has some more in this report.
Bullet holes that ripped through a steel hurricane shutter of the NHC Nutrition store on Strands Boulevard off Soldier Road is a constant reminder of a shooting spree that shortened the life of yet another young male due to a senseless act of violence. When the news of the brutal killing spread like wildfire, grieving relatives and friends rushed to the scene hoping to get some answers. Assistant Superintendent B.K. Barnamy told reporters that around 6 a.m. on Friday morning, police received a call that gunshots were ringing out in the area. He told us what police discovered when they arrived at the crime scene.
They met a male, who appeared to be about 27 years of age, lying on his face in a pool of blood. AMS also responded, and after examination, it was revealed that this person was lifeless. We don't have much information now, only that he was walking. He lived in the area he was walking, and apparently someone walked up to him and fired multiple shots at him. We will speak to the family members and the nearby neighbors to see if they can assist us with our latest investigation.
Owner of NHC Nutrition, Dr. Kevin King, says he has been in the area for the past 12 years and it's the first time that an incident like this has happened. Sadly for King, he says he knew the victim very well.
First I just saw a pool of blood and I called and told him I have a male down on the floor in front of my clinic in a pool of blood. And then when I went back to check who he was, then I saw gunshot wounds and I realized it was a homicide. He was deceased. And I went back and called him again and told him, yeah, this is more serious than that. I knew the young man, well-mannered, young man, respect his elders, never passes without saying good morning. He passes this way every morning going to work. It's really sad.
While police have no motive at this time, they are appealing to anyone with information that can help them solve this case to come forward. This is the country's 32nd murder for the year. LaDawn Davis, ZNS Network News.
Two accused armed robbers, Andy Curtis and Shaquille Oliver, have been cleared of a 2013 charge after Justice Carolita Baffle directed jurors to acquit them. This after Crown prosecutors offered no further evidence in the case following legal discussions. The duo was accused of robbing a man at gunpoint back in March of 2013 in the Kemp Road area, an allegation they denied. Attorney Ramona Farguson Seymour represented the defendants.
Coming up in the Bahamas tonight, 45 fathers taking over the classrooms at C.D. Bethel High School today.
This portion of the news is brought to you by the new Shell & Leaded, designed for extra miles.